Hi there, everyone. Meteorologist Robert Spena here with you on today, the 27th of February 2014, and we are continuing to watch what is going on out here today across the Western Pacific as far as our tropical update. And definitely the last thing you would have thought would be happening here in the late month of February going into early March would be a named tropical storm in the northern hemisphere, but that really does look like that is going to be the case out here. Most models are starting to get a better grasp on this and still being very aggressive. And when you get just one model being very aggressive at this time of year, you definitely raise an eyebrow and maybe kind of shrug it off. But numerous models, yeah, they're very in consensus of this having some sort of impact on Guam. Many of the agencies also coming along with this, and even the Japan Meteorological Agency at this time does expect a storm system to develop. There's a track from JMA, only 24 hours out. So they do have it rather weak, but beyond 24 hours, they have this upgrading out to a tropical storm, and once that happens, they will put out a 5-day forecast. Something to keep in mind. Also did notice that the Guam National Weather Service was being very weary on this because they believe the center of circulation was north of 10 degrees north, which would mean vertical wind shear having a very harsh impact on it. And it really is. I mean, take a look at all of the convection off here towards the north. That is that vertical wind shear that is just coming in from the west and just pushing all of that. Kind of like if you blow on a candle and it knocks over the flame, that's what's happening with this. But we can see here on the visible imagery, the center of circulation actually here around 10 degrees north. If it's here, it very well could avoid a lot of that shear, and that means it's kind of in the Goldilocks area for development. Warm sea surface temperatures down here, less vertical wind shear, and definitely the threat of this becoming a tropical storm going through the next 24 to 48 hours. So there it is. If you had a hard time seeing it on the visible imagery, just kind of circled it on this map. So what we are seeing right now, though, is this is not going to be moving very fast. If you are out here towards the west into the Philippines and you're worried about this, highly unlikely it's going to be coming off to your direction. And that kind of plays in as well with this not moving very fast, because current streamline analysis, you can see it quite clearly. There is that ridge of high pressure that we're talking about. And every time we look at this, we always talk about basically the flow. And what we are seeing is this high, and remember this low-level circulation over here, just where our storm system is not going to want to flow into the high, just like water will not flow uphill. So this is just going to buffer it and sit here towards the east and basically linger right around Guam over the coming days before it eventually gets turned off towards the northeast. And most agencies and models kind of agreeing with that. Here's just several models and just a general track pulling off there towards the north. Just showing you that real quick. I'll get more detail with that in a second. But overall, though, this is just going to continue to linger. And that's where the problems start to lie in, is just how persistent this very well could be through the coming days. That's actually the shear outlook. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what the overall accumulation does look like out here across Guam over the next several days. And let's go ahead and loop through this. And this is using the GFS model run. So it's one of the more aggressive ones, but I do want to show you, because this is kind of worst case scenario, this developing and just lingering here all the way out until going into early part of next week, out to Monday into Saturday. And just take, or excuse me, Monday into Tuesday. And just take a look at some of these areas in the purples and the whites. This is indicating some areas up to about 200 to 300 millimeters of rainfall in parts of Guam. Definitely localized flooding, a major threat possibly with this if it does develop up to a full-strength tropical storm. And GFS even wanting this to go to a typhoon status. I think that's unlikely. It's not completely impossible. I think it's unlikely because of that shear that is in the area, and plus climatology speaking. Typhoons don't typically happen in February and March. It's not impossible. It has happened in the past. But I think the biggest risk at this time is definitely going to be the rainfall. You do want to be ready for this one as it does continue to linger. But let's take a look at some of those model runs I was talking about. First, using let's look at the GFS and compare it up with the NavGem here on the FinMOC platform. And you can see the system lingering here towards the south, and it pulls off towards the north. Once again, that's a fairly potent storm system. Severe tropical storm intensity at the very least. And then let's compare it over with the NavGem, and also very similar output kind of drifting off there towards the north. So, I mean, the three big models, NavGem, ECMWF, and GFS, all want this to become a severe tropical storm. But more so, the GFS, let's go ahead and zoom in on you in the Wonder Map platform, and I love using this because you zoom right in on it. They have this just becoming a monster of a storm right over Guam and Saipan. I'm not sure if you can see it there. Let's pull up the location names. Guam right there. You're looking at this. This is indicating, specifically this model, indicating typhoon strength winds over Guam on Sunday into Monday, and even over towards Tuesday morning. It just, even if you don't see typhoon strength winds, destructive winds. And I think that's possible. No warnings have been put out on this yet. It's special weather statements by Guam National Weather Service, so I always do want to refer you back to the official agencies. But by the information I am looking at here, and I have the pleasure of not being part of a governmental group, so I can go ahead and say some of this stuff, is that this is going to be a very severe storm system. You definitely, at this time, want to be ready for it. If you're in Guam and Saipan, and I know we have a lot of military likely watching from that area, you always want to have, and being on a small island, you always want to have some sort of emergency kit ready anyways, in case of tsunamis, if you do have to evacuate, especially if you're in coastal areas. I think the very similar cases, a lot of those similar supplies that you need for that, though, it comes over towards tropical systems as well. So have one of these emergency kits ready, and just some extra water around, and even some extra rations just in case power goes out. Guam, pretty decent infrastructure, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But it has been a while since you've been hit by a fairly decent tropical system, and you can see there on this model outlook, it does look like that may come to pass. ECMWF also going pretty aggressive on it, and this is pretty aggressive for ECMWF as far as they don't like Genesis, the Genesis phase tropical systems all too much. They keep them usually weak, but right now, I mean, this is showing 50-knot winds and even a little bit of an eye starting to form up around the center of circulation as it drifts just towards the east of Guam and over towards Saipan. So here's our thoughts on this now. Remember, this isn't official, but definitely heavy rain, localized flooding. At the very least, tropical storm strength winds over Guam going into the weekend, early part of next week. Monday, it's just going to be right over the islands here. I think Monday is a holiday in Guam. If you're watching here from the islands, let me know. I know I'm not sure of the holiday schedule out here. I know them for Japan and much of the Philippines, but Guam, I'm pretty sure it is. So at least schools may already be closed. Please comment in the comment section below if that is correct or not. But yeah, there's our idea of this, and it's going to continue to drift off here towards north. A big rainmaker through the coming days. This is the track from JMA, though. I think I already showed that for you. Winds 56, gusting up to 83 kilometers per hour. Current radar out of Guam, though. Not very many showers here on your Thursday, but it definitely will be picking up. And as far as J2WC is concerned, high potential. They have a TCFA out on this. JMA already has it as a tropical depression. They are the official agency, though, for the Western Pacific and Eastern Asia. So that is all for right now, everybody. I know a lot talked about here. If I can help you with any more questions, please let me know down there in the comment box below. I always do appreciate any feedback you may have. And yeah, please do continue to check in with the website. If you're watching this on YouTube, go to westernpacificweather.com. Full updates posted throughout the day. Also follow us on our Facebook and Twitter at Westpacwx. More updates posted there, not just by myself, but several meteorologists, weathercasters, and a bunch of enthusiasts alike out here across Eastern Asia. So yeah, that is all for right now, everybody. Thanks again for watching, and stay safe out there. All right.